So on the second slide here, just some housekeeping. The session will be recorded and then uploaded into the Future City dashboard after the call. And then again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to throw them into the chat. I also have on the call Maddie, the high school program manager, and she's just kind of on the back end that can help field some questions. But I'll be leading the session today. And if you have questions throughout, if I don't get to them while we're in the middle of it, I'll wait till the end, but I'll try to do my best to manage both. So. All right, on the agenda today, we're going to do a Future City overview, talk a little bit about the program and this year's theme. Going to talk about the different ways that you can participate, go into the team structure, deliverables, timeline, support that's available to you, Future City finals, prizes and awards that are available, and then the Future City Middle School Regional Coordinators, and then just open it up to some Q&As that, and questions that anyone has. So, what is Future City? So Future City is a hands-on experience where students really become the engineers. They learn so many valuable skills from increasing their math and science to teamwork and self-confidence. And it all begins with one simple question: how can we all make the world a better place? Future City has grown a lot. It grows year over year. Last year, Future City reached over 80,000 students from all over the globe. And we aim to make this program as accessible and cross-curricular as we can. So you can be an art educator, a science, geography, every piece that, every educator, there's a piece of the program that it touches. So it really is cross-curricular across the board. And so each year, students are tasked with building a city 100 years in the future based on an annual sustainability challenge. So this year's challenge, very exciting, is Farm to Table. And this is where students are tasked with designing a city 100 years in the future that eliminates food waste from farm to table, all while keeping the citizens healthy and safe. And during this project, the students are joined by educators as well as mentors, STEM professionals to help them along through this journey. All right, so you might be thinking, I'm a first-time educator, where do I even start? So just to start out, we recommend just reading the Future City Handbook. Understand it, have the students think about the questions to consider, think about assigning roles to the team. Take time to meet with your team to try to decide how often you should meet, where you should meet, and then you can create that plan, meet before school, after school, during lunch hours. It's whatever works best for you and your students. And so there are a lot of resources available, which can be a bit overwhelming. So just start simple. Start one by one, really dive into that handbook and kind of build from there, go from there. So a different couple of ways that you can participate. If you are resource only, this is free access to Future City's resources. That includes the handbook, the rubrics, theme materials, and more. And so during this, if you're kind of unsure about the program, want to kind of get your feet wet, understand it more, this is an opportunity to just self-guide you and your team through the program at self-paced, and then you're not submitting any deliverables, you're just learning and you're not competing. So that's one way that you can do it. A second way to participate is the full competition. So the full competition is $25 registration fee per organization. And that means if you have 5 teams that you are putting through, it is still, or if you have 3 educators that are registered all from the same organization, it is still just $25 to register. And so for full competition, that means that you are going through the whole competition, you are submitting the deliverables, you are attending your regional competition, you're eligible for prizes and special awards. And then also, if you have registered for resource only and then later on in the process you want to go for it and participate as full competition, you can do that. Just let us know. You'll email futurecity@discovere.org and then we can help you make that switch. If you have any reservations on getting started or want to learn more, have any questions, email that email. And then I promise your students are ready for this. It's just a lot at the beginning, but as you work your way through, there are a ton of resources available that can really help you get started. All right. Now we'll talk a little bit about the team structure. So the team consists of at least 3 students in sixth, seventh, or eighth grade, one educator, and one mentor. The mentor is optional. So team mentors must register and complete the mandatory background check by January 5th, and there's only one mentor per team. Again, it's optional, and your team can have more than 3 students. That's just the minimum. We've seen teams with 30 to 40 students. We love them all. So if you only have 3 students, that's completely fine. If you have more that want to hone in on the program, that is completely fine as well. If your team has requested a mentor, then your regional coordinators that you are part of that region will help you connect to a registered mentor. A mentor can be a STEM professional, a STEM enthusiast, a college student, anyone that you want to help support and mentor your team. They just have to register. Um, and again, the teams you'll meet on the time and the days that work best for you. So there's no right or wrong answer. Some teams meet a couple of hours a week, before school, after school. So just set a schedule. There's no right or wrong time, just whatever works best for you. One more part on the team structure is each team will need to select 3 presenting students. And so for the 3 students, they must be the same for both regionals. And then if your team advances to finals, they will have to be the same 3 students. And so during the presentation, the 3 presenting students are the only ones that can present and answer the questions directly from the judges. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading a couple of the comments just to make sure. Yes, so if one was, let's see here. You know what? I'm going to wait until the end to answer all the questions just so I can try to knock them all out at once. So diving into a little bit about the deliverables. So one is the essay. The essay is a key component to the competition. It's a great opportunity for students to showcase their understanding of their city. So encourage your students to start by reviewing the suggested outline and rubric to guide the writing process. Have them create a draft first to work out the initial issues while keeping the rubric handy, because all of the judges have the rubric. That's what they are scoring off of. So if you have that as you are going through the essay, you're in good shape. And then also remind them that 1,500 words isn't a lot of space. So just carefully decide what aspects of the city to highlight in the essay. In word count, it does include it does not include the titles or the reference page, but it does include captions and titles in images or tables and illustrations. So some details might be better represented in the model rather than the essay itself. So as you're working through the project, you'll be able to detect what you want to really focus in and hone in on the essay. And then also utilize their questions to consider that refer to the city essay checklist in the handbook. All of these resources utilize and ensure that you're not missing anything important. And then also with the essay, just make sure that you submit it in the dashboard on time. Your regions do set the deadlines for all of the deliverables. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on the dates that they're due and submitting them in the dashboard. Next, we have the physical model. The model is often one of the most exciting and creative parts of the competition. And to get started, students should receive the Build Your Model handout and the model rubric. So those are 2 things that are really going to shape it and help you start. It outlines the expectations and the scoring criteria. So just discuss with your team whether encourage them to use recycled materials. So this is a great way to use stuff around your classroom old papers, pens, stuff like that that you can contribute into your model. So be mindful of a $100 budget that you get for your model. This does not include the wooden base that you put your model on, but it does include everything that you put on your model. So there are various activities in the dashboard designed to help prepare for the model deliverables, and remind your students that they can incorporate posters, trifolds, and even costumes into their model and presentation, but those do have to be accounted for in the budget. So the $100 budget, they're for items that are donated or might have previously been used but can still be recycled. This is like mirrors, foam cores, wood, magnets, old toys, holiday ornaments. And they need to be signed a fair market value. Anything that you find in the recycling bin or the trash, like old Coke cans, old used up batteries, those don't need to be incorporated into that $100 budget. But there it is outlined in the handbook if you have any specifics, or feel free to reach out to us if you have questions on that. Facebook Marketplace and eBay are great places to look for if when you're doing your budget, you need to assign that fair market value. So just keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace and eBay. We've even seen students use like pistachio shells, old empty food sauce packets. So you really get creative. And then the budget is really to maintain that equity across the board and just really emphasize the use of the recycled materials. Next, the presentation is also a critical part of the competition. It allows students to bring their city and their model to life and engage directly with the judges. So for the presentation, start by reviewing the questions to consider in the rubric provided in the handbook, just to help your students structure your presentation. Discuss how to best showcase the model during the presentation, and then your team with selecting the 3 presenters. Encourage lots of practice sessions in front of mentors, teachers, parents, and friends. Recording the presentation and then watching it back is an excellent way for students to learn and receive feedback and see where they can improve. And then just make sure that the practice runs against the rubric to make sure that they're meeting all of the criteria. So they will have up to 7 minutes to present. So the 15-minute presentation includes like 2 parts. There's 7 minutes where they are presenting. The 3 presenting students will present their model, and then it's followed by an 8-minute Q&A where the judges will ask those 3 presenting students questions about the model or clarification questions. So that takes the 15-minute presentation. And then also just use the practice questions provided in the handbook to help the students prepare for those questions from the judges. And then there are also examples of presentations and models in your dashboard that help you really put everything together that you can kind of feed off of and see how it's been done in the past. And then the 4th deliverable here are the project plans. So it's an essential team that helps, essential tool, there we go, that helps teams stay organized and on schedule throughout the competition season. So it consists of 4 deliverables. The first 2, goal setting and setting a schedule, those are due mid-December. And again, those dates will be set by your region. So just keep an eye on your dashboard to see what dates they have selected. And then the final 2 parts of the project plan, which is checking in and the reflection, those are due in January, typically a week or so before your competition. And then just make sure that your team makes these meets the deadlines and can access the resources provided in the handbook. And by keeping up with these deliverables, your students will be well prepared and organized to approach competition day. All right, so a little bit about the timeline of the competition this year. On September 24th, we have a theme webinar. This is where we invite theme experts in the field or around the theme that we have this year. And they will present on projects that they're working on currently, or just provide examples and resources to help your students and yourself to think about the program. So that's going to be September 24th. And on October 31st, if you haven't registered yet and you're still deciding, you have until October 31st to register as full competition. If you're resource only, you can register after that. But if you want to compete in the competition, make sure that you're registered by October 31st. In December, all of our essays are going to be due. So that's when the essay judging will begin. And then January, that's when our regional competitions happen. And then finals, if your team does advance to the finals competition, it is in February from the 14th to the 18th in Washington, D.C. So a great way to kind of brainstorm yourself around this timeline is to think in September, start researching and brainstorming your city. In October, start to design it, put it all together, and then November, start building it using the recycled materials, put it all down, and then December and January, that's when you're going to present your city that you have built. And on here, I wanted to talk about some support and resources that are available to you throughout the competition to help you make your way through this program and make sure that you are well prepared and well supported. So we offer a wide range of resources to help guide your students through the process. Key materials include the handbook, which provides detailed instructions and guidelines. There are rubrics that outline how each component will be scored. And then the handbook is a little lengthy, but there's so much important information. If you ever have a question about something in the competition, chances are the answer is in that handbook. So if you have the question, refer there first. But you can also always reach out to us if you need clarification on something. There are also practical tools like the competition expense form. There are clear instructions on how to submit media and honor statements for the regional and finals competition. There are resources on how to upload your deliverables to help with researching, strategies, resources. Um, there's tons of stuff in there. There's also, I think I touched on this earlier, but there are model photos as well as pre-recorded presentations from previous years that you can look for guidance or resources. And that's all in the dashboard. And then we also have monthly educator calls. It's in a relaxed setting where you get to have all of your questions answered. It's just a meeting. Everyone is coming there that you can ask any questions that you have or just listen to any questions that other educators might have. That's where you can share experiences, gain insights that can help you guide your students through the competition. So whether you're a seasoned participant or new to Future City, this is where a lot of the support comes from. So we have these every month. I'll share the dates with you as throughout the slides. And then that theme webinar that I had touched on, it's a great resource for educators and you can invite your students to attend as well. It features those experts who provide insights into this year's theme and practical ideas on how to approach the theme and your solutions and the challenge. So it's a great starting point on developing your team's projects, understanding the key issues, and just really get those juices flowing. And then the fourth one down here is a mentor support call. This is also a casual setting that if you do have team mentors that just want to understand a little bit more about their role or hear from other experienced mentors, they can drop in on this call and hear a little bit about their experiences. And then last but not least, our regional coordinators are a fantastic resource to utilize. They are there to support you, help you in any way that they can. They answer logical questions about the competition. They can help you talk about specific day of, deliverables, resources. They are very familiar with the competition and can answer anything. So just don't hesitate to reach out to them. I'll share in a couple of slides where you can reach out to them and find their contact information. But they are a great resource to utilize. All right. So the support calls, here are all of the upcoming calls we just had our August 12th monthly educator call on Tuesday, but we have one for September, October, and November. I have the dates for the info session, theme webinar, and mentor support call. So you will all receive emails about these calls with registration links and reminders. But if you did want to take a quick screenshot of this, you could, and it's also going to be up in the dashboard as well. Next. So we won't spend too much time on this slide, but if your team does advance to the finals competition, we will reach out to coordinate flight and hotel accommodations. But just note that the three presenters, one educator and one mentor will be, the expenses for the flight and hotel will be covered by Discover E or Future City. Um, and your first place team from the region will be invited to compete in Washington, D.C. from February 14th to the 18th. So it's just something to keep in mind if you do participate and advance to the finals competition. All right, prizes and awards. Teams that compete in the regional competition, that you're eligible for a number of special awards. So just check with your regional coordinators for the list of the special awards that they are offering, so that you can get familiar with it, get an idea of what you are available for the regional competition. And then for finals, again, if your team does advance, you are also eligible to win special awards at the finals competition. And then prizes from first through fifth place include first place is $10,000 for your organization STEM program. Second place is $5,000. Third is $2,000. And then fourth and fifth are $750 for your STEM's organization, your organization STEM program. And on this one, I just wanted to follow up and say, so we currently have 37 US regions across the United States. So if you aren't quite registered, if you want to connect with them, if you are registered and have questions, they can help you with just about anything. They can connect you to a mentor, provide competition information, and just, keep you going and provide support. So you can find their emails to reach out to and what regions we have under futurecity.org/regions. That's a good website. And then, or if not, you can always reach out to me and I can help connect you. Because I'll leave this slide up here. This is my email that if you have any questions after this, need clarification, you can always reach out to me here. And if you're taking that down, I'll start answering some of the questions here.
Hi, Ashley. I can feed you
Yeah.
some of the questions from the chat if that's more helpful.
Yes, thanks, Sonny.
Okay, great. So I can start kind of at the beginning. This is more of a registration question. So
Mhm.
as they were registering, there was a partial competition option, and they're asking what that would entail.
Ooh, good question. So there is a partial competition opportunity that some regions offer. And what this means is if you want to participate in some of the deliverables or some aspects of the program, but not all, or you're not fully ready to compete in the full competition yet, some of our regions offer partial, and it differs from region to region. So again, I would suggest reaching out to that region specifically to see if they offer it and then what it entails. But they generally have you submit one or two of those four deliverables. It could be like the essay or the project plans. And then you can provide that to get scoring and feedback from judges to kind of help you prepare for in the future if you have any more, if you want to compete in the full competition at a later date. Good
Okay,
question.
great. Here's another one about obtaining a mentor. So the question is, if we don't have a mentor, can you recommend a mentor? So I don't know if maybe you want to run through like the mentor process again and maybe who could be a mentor.
Yeah, good question. So mentors can be an engineer, project manager, land surveyor, a STEM enthusiast, a college student, um, another educator who wants to work on the program with you. But again, if you do have someone in mind, I would make sure that they are registered, just so that they are officially recognized as your team's mentor. And if you do want a mentor but don't have anyone in mind, during registration, it will ask you, do you want a mentor? And you can select yes or no, and and it'll say, do you have anyone in mind, or is there anyone specific that you would like to be paired with? And you can either put someone in there or just say no, anyone. You can also put a preference, I believe, with virtual or in person. And then your regional coordinator will see there are mentors that register that aren't assigned to anyone, that they just want to help anyone in their area. And so the regions will help connect them based on if you have provided in your registration that you are interested in having a mentor. And then if that's something that maybe you passed through with registration and you want to go back on and change and say that, yes, I do want a mentor, just email me and I can reset that in your registration and help connect you with the regional coordinator to try to pair with a mentor.
Okay, great. The next question is about the model. So can you explain the moving part more, and are lights considered a moving part?
Ooh, okay, good question. So there must be one moving part in your model, and it has to be a self-contained source, so you can't plug it in or use a laptop to power it. It has to be self-powered by batteries or however you want to engineer it. And so a light I would have to double check on the light. I don't believe it does count as the moving part, but I can double check on that and then follow up with everyone on this call and just double check that. But I'm not sure that just the light is the moving part. I don't believe it is, but I'll check. A good question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I was muted.
No, that's
Here's
okay.
another model question. If you
Yeah.
use glue in your model, does it have to be recycled glue, and is that part of the budget?
Good question. So if you have recycled glue that you've already used on something else and you want to put it in your model, you can do that. But generally, we see teams use like hot glue guns or glue sticks, and those do have to be incorporated into your budget. And so what I would suggest is just do it based on like the sticks that you use. So if you buy, I know that they normally come in like a bag of 20 glue sticks. If you only use one or one and a half, that's all you would contribute to the budget. But stuff like that and paint, acrylic, you do have to incorporate that. And then even if it's something that's donated by, say, like a parent or someone else, that if it's like paint, for instance, and it was donated by another parent, you still have to incorporate those donated items into your budget.
Okay, great. Here's actually a SimCity question.
Mm,
Um, do does everyone still have access to SimCity? And what does that look like?
yes. So SimCity is optional, and you do have access to it if you register as full competition. It'll provide you an access code that will allow you 5 logins or 5 codes for SimCity, and it's a computer game that you build a city, um, on your computer. So it's a lot of our educators utilize it as like a learning opportunity or to see from the infrastructure to the zoning, how to do it in a virtual simulation first. So they use it as like a learning opportunity, but it's completely optional. You don't have to use it. It is definitely there if you would like to, but it's not a requirement of the program. And if you register as full competition, you'll get the codes in your dashboard.
Okay, next is when will the deadlines and the deliverable deadlines be posted onto the dashboard?
So this one also depends on the region. A lot of it is consistent with a lot of our regions are still confirming the venue that they are at and the date for the competition. And once they have that information, they're really good at updating the dashboard as it comes. With it being August, I would give it a little bit of time as we approach, September, October, just because they're still finalizing everything and all of the competition deliverable dates. But they'll come in one by one and it's up to the region. So again, if you are worried about that or have a question, you can always reach out to that specific region and say, oh, when do you plan on putting your dates in the dashboard? Or again, reach out to me and I can check in on that. But again, it's dependent on the region that you're in.
Okay, next question is, are the program resources only available throughout the school year or only during the competition dates?
Mm, good question. So the resources are available, I would almost say all year, but with like a slight like asterisk to that because in March, we wipe the dashboard to prepare it for the new season. So when you register, whenever you register, you have point or you have access from that point on to like when we wipe it for the next season, which is usually March, April. So you have it all the way through that and you can download the resources to keep for your personal use. So if you are worried about it going away on the dashboard for when we start updating it, just download it to your computer and you can have access that way.
Okay, next question is, someone is from South Dakota and is asking if there's a region there.
Oh, good. Oh, that's exciting because they are a brand new region. South Dakota, this is their first region. And so they are a region. When you register, you should see it populate as a region. And then you could also reach out to them if you have any questions. But yes, they are a region.
Awesome. Next question is, will the theme webinar be recorded?
Yes. Oh, I'm glad that you brought that up because the theme webinar will be recorded. I know it's at kind of a funky time for educators. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern, but it will be recorded and uploaded into your dashboard so you can access it at any time. And then also the panelists that we have, they're usually pretty good about if you miss it and you have a question or someone thinks of something at the end that they want to ask them, we can always reach out to them and have them clarify something or ask a specific question. They're usually always really helpful in that way.
Great. Next question is, if it's our school's first year, would you recommend starting with a bigger team or keeping the team smaller?
Mm. That is, that is a good question too. I know I keep saying that. These are all good questions. Um, so it is dependent on I would say it's dependent on the students in your team. Sometimes what we see is they will break up into smaller teams because everybody wants a major role in the project. So everybody wants to brainstorm, everyone wants to build, everybody wants to present. So in that case, yeah, maybe start smaller with 3 people to each so that everyone, has that secured spot. We also see other teams where they don't like public speaking, but they really like researching, or they're artsy and they want to build the model, but they don't want to do any of the writing for the essay. So it's kind of what plays to the strengths of the people on your team, and then so you can really develop it. And even being brand new, if there's only 3 people in it, that's completely fine. These students are so smart and so talented and there are a lot of resources and the educators and the mentors. So even if you have a smaller team, it's just there's no right or wrong way to go about it. So just kind of play to the strengths of the students on your team.
Yeah, that's great. Here's another team question to stay with that. Is there a limit to the amount of teams that we can have at our school? This person was planning on having multiple teams throughout their school and having a school competition and then
Mhm.
sending their top team to regionals.
Yes, I've seen that. There have been a few schools that do the same model, that they hold like a little smaller competition and then advance 1 or 2 teams. And that is completely fine. You are more than welcome to do that. There are some regions that do limit the number just because of the venue space that they have. It only allows maybe 2 teams per school. But if they do have that, I believe in your dashboard, it won't let you create more teams than are allowed. And there's only a handful of regions that really limit that. But most of our regions don't limit it. So you could have 4 or 5 teams or however many. And again, just check with your region or your regional coordinator to see the specifics on that.
Okay, here's another expense question. So, what if materials were donated to them at no cost, and their example is paints? Would that be outlined in the handbook, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of the materials and specific questions like that are going to be outlined in the handbook, and it kind of runs through the different examples that different things, how to budget it. But even if it was at no cost and donated, the paint, because it is like new, the paint hasn't been used, you do have to budget that for like fair market. So maybe go to eBay or Facebook Marketplace and see if someone's selling a pint of paint, and you would just put that price there. But even donated or no cost to you, you would have to budget that in there.
Okay, great. The next question here is, can the project be done during class hours? And then the implied question here is versus after hours.
Yes. Yes, you can absolutely do it as a class. We see that model done a lot of times as well. So if you want to use that time as a class during school hours, you can do that. Again, it really depends on your team and what's available, what time you have. Um, so yes, you can definitely do that.
The next question here is there a region in Houston, Texas?
Yes, there is. There's a Texas Houston region. The regional coordinator is Moyes. And yes, so when you register, it'll populate that option for you and you'll just select it during registration.
Okay, I'm seeing another budget question. I don't know if you want to take it, Ashley, or just have a blanket statement of if they want to email you after this, but it's about any materials that are already within the classroom and not bought specifically for the competition. Do you still count that?
Yes. So it depends on what it is. Like if it's anything that you can find in like the recycling bin or the trash can, that you won't have to budget. That's considered recycling, like used food packaging, sauce packages, or old batteries, old pens, anything like that, you wouldn't budget. But even if it's like around the classroom that you have like a stack of printing paper that you want to use, you still have to budget that because it's not like recycled or trash. Um, or like staples that you use in it. If it's a pack of staples, you would have to budget that. So just yeah, kind of like Maddie said, if you do have questions on the specifics, I know that that can be like a very open-ended question and kind of gets in the weeds of everything. So if you do have a question about it, feel free to reach out to me. And then, but like the blanket statement, maybe go over if it's in the recycling bin or the trash, don't budget it. But even if it's donated in your classroom, zero cost to you, but something that is like of value, you would still have to budget that. But all good questions.
Okay, awesome. Another one here is when the models and presentations are being judged, do the judges have the essays alongside with them to make sure that every detail in the essay is aligned with the model?
Ooh, great question. So they are not. So the judges at your regional competition are specifically judging your presentation and your model. The essays are done virtually in December, so that our judges have time to read all of the essays, score them, and then they can be incorporated into on the competition day. So the judging of your model and your presentation, the judges are specific to those two deliverables. Your essays and your project plans will already be scored before.
Okay, the follow-up question from the same person is how much of the grading is model-based, presentation Q&A based, and essay based? I think they mean maybe like the scores.
hmm Good question. So there are points for every deliverable, and it's specifically laid out in the handbook. And now you're testing my specific memory right now, but it's the model, I believe, is like 50 points, the presentation 72. Um, don't quote me on that and don't be specific, but it is in your handbook. The project plans are 10 points. So it's based on are all four parts complete and submitted on time. If they are, you get all 10 points. If it's partially finished or not submitted on time, you might get 5 points for that. And then if it's not done at all, you get zero. So that one's kind of like just make sure that you do it fully and then submit it on time and you get all of those points. And then in your handbook, there's one page that lays out the essay are like 72 points and this is 60 points. So it's laid out there and on your rubric, it'll have the total. But everything together, I remember, I think is 197 points. So that's like the uh, the total.
Okay, great. Next question here is the model judged at the same time as the presentation?
So this one is also kind of dependent on your region and the amount of judges that they have. Some of the regions, the same judge will do both the model and the presentation. And then some regions, they will have one judge that's specifically for the model and then one judge that's specifically for the presentation. Generally, I would say they are judged at the same time, but there are a couple of regions where they will have all of the models together and they'll have like one judge doing all the models and they'll walk around in a room and just um, score them all at once. So it depends on your region, but I would say most of them, it happens at the same time.
Okay, great. Next question here is last year this person was unable to secure a mentor. Are there
Mm.
any other avenues where we can get professional advice on this project?
Ooh, that's a great question. So if you aren't able to connect with a mentor for whatever reason, please reach out to me. Reach out to Ashley at discovery.org, and I can either help connect you with someone who would be willing to chat with you on a specific issue that you're having, or maybe we can find you someone that wants to be a mentor for your team. But just connect with me, and then I'm more than happy to help you dive into that and make sure that you are paired with a mentor because we do want to make sure that you succeed and that you have all of the support that you need. So just reach out to me. But if you have requested it, your regional coordinator should match you. And if not, just check in with me and I can follow up on that.
Okay, here's a good one, Ashley. Um, what are some of the judges looking for? Ingenuity or practicality when they're looking at the models?
Ooh, that is a good question. And I I hate saying like it kind of depends, but it does depend a little bit on the judge. And I would say as long as so the judges that go to score, they are only given scoring rubric that you have in your handbook. So everything that they are going off of is off of what is in the rubric. So if you hit every point that you're supposed to hit in the on the rubric, you are in great standing. Of course, judges love to see ingenuity and they love personality in it, but just make sure that all of the points in the rubric are hit and then you should be in great, standing there. But
Yeah,
great
great
question.
answer.
Yeah.
Um, Next one here is at regionals, do students get a chance to see other teams and experience the other presentations, or are all the projects done in privacy?
Mm. So at the regional competition, most of our teams, or most the presentations are all kind of put into different rooms, and it depends on the venue that they use. But they'll have like little breakout classrooms, and it will just be the team and the judges. But then there are other regions where they have like a big auditorium where they have multiple presentations going on kind of around the room. Um, I would say a lot of our regions like to limit it to only the team that is presenting and all of the other students. So anyone that's not the three presenting, they can be in the class in the room with everybody. Parents and friends can do that. But we a lot of times we limit who else can be in the classroom because there are a set of mandatory questions that your judges are supposed to ask each of the teams. And if someone from another team is sitting in and they get a heads up, like, oh, hey, they're going to ask this question, that then gives your team the leg up. So, in general, it's just your team in there. But then a lot of regions also have at the ceremony, they'll have like the top 3 or 5 teams present, so you can see it there. Um, but yeah, good question.
Okay, here's a follow-up question to the question about aligning the essay and the model
Uh,
for judges. So the question is there ever a situation where a judge would score an essay and score a model and presentation, specifically at regionals, I think?
and in that it might be like the same
The
judge.
same judge. Hmm.
Mm. That could potentially happen, but the chances of that happening, I would say, are rare. So the judge would have to register as that they want to judge essays, and then they also want to judge in person in your region, which it definitely could happen. But the likelihood of that happening pretty slim. And then at the same point, all of the essays are all going to be already judged before the competition. But good question.
Okay, and then there's just a couple in the Q&A
Mhm.
here. How to, I guess, again, edit and request a mentor?
Oh, okay. Yes. So email me your name and your the email address that you registered under, and just let me know, like, hey, when I was registering, I didn't choose to select a mentor, but I want to, and then I have to go in on like the backside to edit your registration. But I can do that, and then once I do, it'll show up in the dashboard, and our regional coordinator will see that and then assign the mentor. Good question.
Okay, great. And then another one here in the Q&A is just another question about when the proper deliverable due dates will appear within the dashboard.
Mm. Okay, yes. So the deliverable due dates, again, it depends on the region and when they select the deadlines. And a lot of it's dependent on when they decide to have the regional competition, when the judges will be available to judge like the essays. But I would give it maybe until September and October because it's still early in the season, just before they start solidifying those dates. But you should see them coming in as soon as they select it. And then if you do have a question on a deliverable date or when you might see it, reach out to me and I can follow up with the region or try to get you the answer that you're looking for.
Great. And sorry, if your dashboard says something like this deadline has passed,
Oh,
that would go away once the correct due date is within the system.
yes. Yeah. So it shouldn't. I get if the dates aren't in the dashboard, it shouldn't say the date is passed. But if it does, yes, ignore that until they put in the date. There's going to be nothing, there won't be anything that is due before like mid-December. Because mid-December is when the essays are due, and then everything else is due after that. So you have until like mid-December to get everything in order. Um, and then, yeah, so once they populate it, it should flush that out.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions.
Good. These were all such great questions. Thank you so much, Maddie, for helping field those questions. Um, but again, if you have any follow-up, if you think of anything after, please email me. I'm more than happy to help. Um, and then, if again, you can reach out to your region specifically. If you have any more questions, there will be another info session in September. Let me go back here. Um, September 18th, there will be an info session, and we're going to invite a couple of educators who have experience with the program. So they'll present a little bit about their experience, tips, tricks, and then you could also ask questions there. So if you're still, even if you're returning or if you're still kind of new and want to know more, that's a great one to attend. And then if you do register, these support calls will be a great place to ask any questions or just hear what other educators are saying. Yes, Caroline, the presentation will be available in the dashboard. So you'll be able to see it once you register. But if you're still kind of on the fence or don't want, haven't registered yet and you want me to send this to you, just email me and I can send it to you that way. Let's see. And then next thing to think of, the theme webinar, that's for our registered educators. That's in September. And then, yeah, if you think of anything, please email me. I'm more than happy to help with anything. But thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoy this, and I know that your students and yourself are going to have a great time with the competition. And we're excited to see how this year goes. Um, Thank you all for attending.